Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of our series on habits. And today we're talking about how do you actually change these habits. But just to recap the last 2 days, the first day we actually talked about what a habit was and how it's actually an unconscious pattern that we have built through repetition. And yesterday we talked about the habit loop. So this is the structure of a habit whereby we have a trigger or a stimulus, which in turn unconsciously creates a action. And then us performing that action then in turn provides us with a reward. And this loop continues and feeds the next trigger, and then the habit continues to build momentum. But today we talk about, well, how do we actually change this habit? And there's an acronym for any habit change, and it is AIA. And the first step of any habit change is awareness. And so my question is, how do you know when it's time to do whatever your habit is? And so this is an awareness of the trigger. This is where the changing of the habit begins. It's not the action, because action is sheer will. In the first instance, we need to be really acutely aware of what's our trigger and have an awareness. And then the second part of this process, that is the I, is intention. So once we're aware of our trigger, having an intention of what we would like to do instead of our typical behavior. So that's the I. And then the third part of this process is action. So once you've had an awareness, and then once you've got an intention for an alternate behavior, what could be some small action that you could take straight away towards your new habit? And when you take that action, it's critically important that you celebrate. It's critically important that you reward yourself, because that will release the dopamine, which will reinforce this new habit. And in taking action, it's important that we take small steps, but we take small steps frequently. So repetition is more important than intensity, because if we look to make a change with sheer intensity, we're actually going to trigger the unconscious to take us back into the state of comfort that we previously were. So to recap, our habits are unconscious. They are deep patterns that we have built automatically. There is a habit loop where we have a trigger, an action, and then a reward. And lastly, if we're going to change a habit, the first step is awareness. The second step is intention of an alternate behavior. And then the last step is actually taking action, but small action with a reward. Hope you've enjoyed this series on habits. Reach out if I can help you in any way, if you'd like any more information on habits or either the process of change.